Forts is a real-time strategy game from EarthWork Games in Australia. I'm not lying, it's an RTS, although not a typical one. Build up your structure and carefully spend your resources on weapons and defense. The structure building is pretty interesting and stretches your mind as you try and focus on everything. You can't get mined out like StarCraft, but you will need to manage your inventory of ore and power. The ore and power is used not only to build more, but also repair and fire the weapons. Since you're building the structure, you control the amount of space you have to place weaponry. So in some ways, it's more complex because you control your building area. You need to make sure that there are places for the artillery. There is only a limited amount of units and objects to place to make it a little bit easier. I was having trouble keeping up building my structure and concentrating on shooting all the units. Some hotkeys would go a long way to help. You'll often need to open doors before your units can shoot, so I don't know how viable that is. I did enjoy shooting some of the weapons. Hitting the opposing fort has some real impact. Unfortunately, sometimes you'll be so wrapped up in your own base, you won't have the time to see the damage you inflict. The modes are here though. Forts has a full campaign, skirmish, and multiplayer. They even included a sandbox mode where you can practice building. And you should make sure to use it, because you need to get really good at building. The physics are interesting and take a little bit to get used to. You will need to anchor your structure to walls. I think this is the part I like the most. It's the system in the game which feels the most refined. The building is fun and you can freestyle a little to create the structure you want. If it starts to get too far out of control, beams will flash red with stress. Eventually, when the structure is getting hammered with artillery, you'll just want to build up as fast as possible though. The campaign mode has a lot of content. You'll play each faction, and while it does repeat certain sections of the map, the levels have a completely different layout. Without playing a few skirmishes, I would suggest starting off on easy. The multiplayer doesn't have matchmaking, which, depending on how you look at it, could be a good thing. I don't think this game is going to have a huge community, so at least you won't be stuck in a queue not knowing. I think you'll be much better off getting your friends involved. This could be a very good LAN game. The multiplayer does allow for 8 players at the same time, which is pretty awesome. 4 versus 4 is the maximum amount of forts on the screen that I could find. The developer said after testing it was optimal to have team deathmatch and team co-op. Having all 8 players against each other was impossible to balance based on the maps. After playing for an hour, I don't feel like I have a good grasp on the game. I've played StarCraft, so I'm familiar with RTS. I realize the need to make sure to use all of your time and spend resources quickly. However, I found it to be a real struggle to plan out the base at the same time I was trying to fire all the guns. I felt more of a pull to try and build up, I just didn't have a lot of time to do that, and I just didn't have the awareness to make sure to build up the structure correctly and leave room for placement of weaponry. You need to listen for enemy doors opening and hopefully shoot them before they shoot you, and if you're focused on building up your structure instead of shooting them, it could spell disaster. My pet opinion of Forts is that it's better than your average game, but it's a bit simplistic to hold your attention for long. It's a good concept though. Consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.